So before I start, I just wanted to explain a bit about the psychology of gambling. So if you look at the spectrum, you will have a majority of people who play socially or regularly. But there's always that small percentage that might go on to problem or pathological, which is addiction. So usually when I explain this to our Unibet staff, I compare it to shopping, for example. So if I am a regular shopper, and let's say yesterday I was quite anxious about this presentation, I might decide on going to shopping therapy. So I'll buy a bit more clothes or more stuff, and at that point in time, I am a problem shopper, which is a thing. If this continues, I might develop a shopping addiction. And this is the same with gambling. So people will be social or regular gamblers, but something might trigger them into developing a problem because they need to feel better, they need to relieve that stress, and they can use gambling as a behavior. What we've done in Unibet is we have a system which tracks everything that the customer is doing. And if we see that the customer is going from regular to problem or pathological, we will step in. So this is a very simplistic way of presenting how the system works. So in online gaming, everything that the customer does is visible. At what time you log in, at what time you log out. If you try to deposit but you cannot because you don't have funds on your card, everything you do, we can see it. So we have a scoring system which will let us know if a customer is at risk. Once the customer is detected as at risk, we actually have trained analysts who will look into that customer's profile. So the indicators we have used is mainly research. So written and verbal communication, so if we see that the customer is increasing in impatient communication, abusive communication, chasing his losses or winnings, declined depositing, so he's running out of money, or reversing withdrawals, so he's trying to withdraw the winnings, but he's reversing them back to his gambling account. Changing in deposit methods or products. So if the system detects this, one of the responsible gaming analysts we have will build a profile on this customer. So we will check on that customer, we'll check on the gender. Is it a male or a female? How old is the customer? What nationality? How much time is the customer spending? And what mediums is he using? And in that way, we will build a profile on that customer and promote responsible gaming, which corresponds to his behavior online. So it's not something which is out of the blue. It's something which is part of his gambling experience. We have different measures. Joachim already mentioned a few. You have self-assessment tests, you have a deposit limit, a session limit. You can block certain products, and also you can have a break. The channels that we use. So depending on the nature of the indicator, so why you got detected and the risk, we will choose a communication channel which will help. We have emails, for example, we have on-site message, we have pop-ups, but also we might call our customers if we see that the behavior is too risky. We have extensive training, but we also have responsible gaming experts in customer service. And these responsible gaming experts, usually they come from a social work or psychology background, because luckily they won't find a job in Malta, so they'll come to Unibet. And they will have refresher sessions every month. So every month they will have some sort of training on psychology or CBT or all those things that might help. In order to further explain how we work, I have a case study which actually happened with some screenshots from our back offices and what we see. So for example, this is the financial transaction history of a customer. This person got detected on the 25th of October in 2012. What you see there is actually everything that the customer did since she registered. So on the 24th of October, she registered, she did a deposit of 50 euro. After a few hours, she withdrew that 20 euro. After a few hours, she played 60 and then 100 euros. The next day, she came back a bit earlier and she deposited 150. You can see that the customer tried to withdraw money, but then reversed it and withdrew less. This person was playing casino. from 12:47 till 10 in the evening. So it's quite, the system went a bit crazy. Since she had just registered, the RG analyst at the time said that it's better to send an email and monitor closely. If we called the customer, she might have been too afraid. It could be her first gambling account, it could be that she wouldn't listen. So we decided to send an email about responsible gambling tools, but kept her under investigations. First of all, she's a female born in 1970, so it's a risk demographic. She was using casino, which is risky as well because females tend to use it as a form of escapism. But we were quite happy because she actually set up a spending budget, which is a deposit limit, which you can see in the screenshot. So on the same day she received the email, she set up a deposit limit for €100 for 7 days, which gave us an indication of how much she actually afforded to lose. And you can see that in 2 days she had spent more than 3 times as much. 6 days afterwards, the customer increased her limit. So she went from €100 weekly to €100 daily. This is when we thought we have to intervene again and talk to the customer because she's losing her ways. So what we do, as I mentioned, we have RG experts trained on psychology, on communication, motivation interviewing. We will evaluate each responsible gaming call. And in this case, we chose to have a female responsible gaming expert because we've seen that female gamblers open up better to female customer service agents. And we use this format when it comes to calling. So we will ask the security questions to make sure that it is the account owner. We will talk about the at-risk characteristics, but in a way not to tell the customer, listen, we know you have a problem. So for example, in this case, the agent started talking about the deposit limit. We're here to contact you because we've seen that you have changed your deposit limit. Do you want any information on how it works? And that slowly can develop then about the attitude of their gambling and the information of RG tools. And after this call, the agent will also send a summary to that customer. And we make sure to close the call on a positive note. The good thing as well about having RG experts, it's always the same person doing the call. So the customer can actually call again and refer to that agent. So in this case, from a psychology point of view, we could tell that the customer was showing quite a lot of problem. But as was mentioned by Adrian, it's a bit of a hassle that we can only see part of that customer's behavior. We need to act in a way that the customer is actually taking a break from everywhere, not just from Unibet. And we called this customer, we explained everything to her, and we told her, listen, we can see that there are some inconsistencies that you might want to have a break, and the customer chose to do so. She chose to self-exclude for 6 months. And we mentioned to this customer, try it out. After 6 months, you can call us back. And then we will see if you should gamble or not. We will see together. In this case, she did call 6 months exactly on the spot, and we were ready to actually convince her not to play again. But she called Unibet just to say thank you, because she could pay her rent for the last few months. So actually you can see that we made at least one difference for that person. Responsible gambling prevention approach is actually helping us in achieving a better customer experience. Detecting early signs is helping us build relationships with customers. And also sometimes customers wouldn't know what tools there are. Even if you write them everywhere, they will need someone to explain. So through this approach, we can actually help educate our customers. To do this, as was mentioned in the previous panel, it's a bit hard if you're a startup as well, because you will need a lot of resources. In our case, we have around 140 customer service agents. We get training by psychotherapists, ex-addicts, and we manage 1 million contacts per year. So it's quite a big scale we work on. But still, responsible gaming contacts are a small percentage for that. And player safety should be part of each step of the customer life cycle. So at registration, you should know, you should check that if it's not a minor, depositing, avoiding chasing losses, and activity, and your action on that activity. How does this help from a business perspective? We've been doing this for the last 5 years, and we're still making money, so that's good. You actually help in retaining customers. If you engage customers to regulate their gambling, you can help customers to set up software tools, deposit limits, session limits, and it might decrease, it actually decreases the number of self-exclusions. The staff is more engaged. The staff is really, really excited. They love the fact that we have responsible gaming so important. They use it as a personal development plan as well, and they love building relationships with their customers. And it's also part of corporate social responsibility. It makes us look good. And something which is really good as well, we do collaborations with treatment centers. So it's quite hard sometimes to help locally. So you have people in Sweden, Norway, so you have quite a few markets. But what we do is we approach treatment centers and we invite them to Malta to come see our office. They listen to calls, they see what we're doing, and they give us feedback. And if you have good feedback from treatment centers, I guess you have good feedback. And that's it from my end. Thank you.